And the Tuesday edition of the program. Yes. It's quite exciting. Today is Word Creation Tuesday. I have Godwin Oyefeso joining me today, so we could have the conversation on word creation. We've been talking about export every Tuesday. We talk about export as a means of word creation. We've had seminars in the past, and we're still going to have seminars in the future. Until we start exporting, until we take exporting product out of the country very, very seriously. We won't stop talking about it because I feel that we are not exploring that option enough. We're not. There's a lot that we can do, a lot that we can achieve if we go into exporting. And for you to be a good exporter, for you to be an exporter, you have to have the right information. In fact, it's a very delicate field that if you don't have the right information, you don't know how to go about it, you will lose money. And that is the fact. So that's why we try here to educate you about export every Tuesday. I have Godwin A. Oyefeso with me. He is a regular on the program. He is an agriculture business expert, a publisher, a business growth strategist, SME and export consultant. He is the founder of Success Edge for Entrepreneurship Development Seed, president of Success Edge Exporters Network Scene. He is a board member of the U.S.-Nigeria Trade Council, Atlanta, Georgia, USA. He is also the Media Parts Vice Chairman, Export Group, Lagos Chambers of Commerce. He is also a member of Nigerian American Chambers of Commerce, Netherlands Business Link. Good morning to you, sir. Good morning. Are you there? Okay. I think I'm having a bit of a network challenge, but I'll connect with him again, and then we will get to talk on export. But why I wait to connect with Mr. Godwin, there is some information here that you should know about export, why we keep talking about export. Now, the world's largest 11 exporters shipped out $12.8 trillion of goods last year. Okay, I think I have him now. Hello, good morning to you. Yeah, good morning, Mr. Godwin.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, where you the network isn't so good where you are. Oh my God. Okay. Can we are you sure we can have this conversation? Hello, Mr. Godwin. Okay. The network isn't so good where you are. The network isn't so good where you are. Okay. Let me carry on, and then hopefully Mr. Godwin will connect with him. You know, we're doing it via the network. He has to connect, and then we'll talk. So the network has to be friendly today so that we can have this meaningful conversation. So I was saying that the world's largest 11 exporters shipped out $12.8 trillion of goods last year, 2022, and more than the rest of the world combined. That is $12.1 trillion. Are you seeing it? 11 exporters, they top the list. So the whole world did $12.1 trillion, but 11 exporters were able to ship that $12.8 trillion. Now, the list is headed by China. China is the number one on the list as at last year with $3.6 trillion. Or you could say 40% of the total exports. Now, the country has been the largest exporter of goods in the world since 2009. So we have China on top of the list, heading it with $3.6 trillion. Then we have USA exporting $2.1 trillion. We have Germany, $1.7 trillion. Netherlands, $965 billion. We have Japan, it's also on the list. At number 5 on the list is Japan, with $746.9 billion. South Korea also export a lot. So on the list, they are number 6, and it's $683.6 billion. We have Italy. Yeah, Italy is number 7. Is $656.9 billion. We have Belgium with $632.9 billion. And there is France at number 9. Is France with a 617 billion. And there is Hong Kong at number 10. The export is $609.9 billion. And number 11, the 11th on the list, is United Arab Emirates, exporting $598.5 billion. Now, this is a report as of last year. China is topping it with $3.6 trillion. Now, these 11 countries I've mentioned to you, they export a total of $12.8 trillion. Now, there is no African country on this list. There is no African country on this list. So in 2022, the top product exported from China by the values were phones, including smartphones, computers, optical readers, integrated circuits, solar power, and other things, semiconductors. So it's not just agricultural products. So China topping the list. One of the things they exported were phones, solar power, semiconductors, and some other things. Also, Japan and South Korea also exported things like that too, semiconductors and phones and other stuff. So when we talk about export, is quite large. It's not just melon, egusi, and bitter cola, and what again, granules. Export is quite large. I'll connect with Godwin Oyefeso so that we can talk. But if I don't connect with him, we'll just go on. We'll have a good conversation on export. I'll give you some information about exports just to inform you about it. So you explore that option, because I want many people to be exporting. So that's why we keep giving you the information until you finally take your first step and start exporting goods and services. Okay, now we are going to look at the risks that are involved in exporting products. I'm going to try and touch on like 5 risks that are involved in exporting product out of the country. You know, export business is a very sensitive business. When I say sensitive, I mean it's a business that requires a lot of information. You have to cross your T's and dot your I's. You know, you have to make sure you have the information, you know the measurement, you know what to do, because these people you're exporting product to, you don't know them, like you don't see them day by day. You know, when you said things in Nigeria, you said you know the people you're selling to. You can even travel, even if you're in Lagos and the person is in Abuja. If anything happens, you can say, you know what, I'm coming over to Abuja, let's have a meeting. I'm coming over to Anambra, let's have a meeting. But although you can also still travel abroad, yeah, you can do that. You get to a level in export where you have a physical meeting with the people that you're exporting to. But you have to make sure that you cross your I's and you dot your T's. So let's talk about export risk and management. Very important. I don't think we've discussed this on the program before. We'll be talking about things you can export here and there, but let's talk about export risk. Export risk management is not about eliminating the risk. There is no such thing as a risk-free business, especially when working with business partners and customers in other countries. So what I'm telling you today is not that there's not going to be risk. There is always risk in working with someone that is far away, but it had to manage the risk, what you can do to ensure that you are still in business even with the risk involved. Now I'll tell you the first step, what you need to do first. Now these steps is that I'm about to tell you is a stronger export risk management. It can help your business to focus on individual risk and the entire portfolio of the export risk that you will face. Number 1 is identify all potential risk. You have to sit down and make sure that you identify all the risk. I know someone once told me of the experience they had in export business and why they've stopped exporting. That they were exporting to a particular person, a Nigerian abroad. They met some time ago, but they were not friends or anything, but they connected via the phone and decided exporting. So this person will buy things in Nigeria, buy foodstuff, stockfish, all the things that people abroad will need, that they don't really have the order quite expensive will buy it and send it over to the person in US, and the person will send some of the things that they have there to Nigeria so that he can sell. So they were doing the business for a while and it was going seamlessly. All of a sudden, he sent the things from Nigeria to him and he did not send back the things that he was supposed to send. And he started following up and everything. And at the end of the day, the business went south. He did not recover his money until date. He's still looking for the person that he's been doing business with. So, when you're going into business like that, you have to identify some of the risk. What if this happened? What will happen? What if I send the goods and I don't get a response, or I send the goods and the person did not pay, or the person paid and the person said he paid and you did not get a lot, or stuff like that. So you have to identify all of that risk before you venture into the export business. That's number one thing that you need to do. And there are more that you can do if you are going into exporting. Let's talk about what are the types of export risk that you can face. There are different types of risk. I just told you one. The one I told you now is the smallest kind of risk, because it's something that you should have thought of before you send your product to someone that you don't see based on trust. We don't do based on trust. In business, there is no based on trust. You have to follow the books. Not that I trust you so much. Although people do it, but you have to have a backup plan when you're doing based on trust, because you're dealing with a human being here and there can be different circumstances that will make the person to fail. So you have to put measures in place so you don't lose your money. So let's talk about the types of export risk. Now, there are many types of export risk. Why doing? Hold on, like Mr. Godwin is with us. Hello?
Okay, then that one.
I don't carry on.
I don't hear you.
I don't do I have Mr. Godwin Oyefeso with me. And let's say if we'll get clear signals now. We were talking about export risk management, because there is no business without risk. Every business has risk, especially export, when you don't see the customer one-on-one. So we're talking about how one can manage some of the risk. Yeah.
Like earlier said, there is no business without risk, but they're going to mitigate risk. And the basis of mitigating risk is on one, knowledge, two, mentorship, and strong will. Like I said, number one, knowledge, two, mentorship, and a strong will. So you have those three things, I think we can always be mitigated and to minimize. Number one, like I said, knowledge. Don't go into any business you don't have knowledge about. The basis of having knowledge, that's why training are being organized. Like we have the master class. Actually, different. When we discuss in the master class, it depends on read books. Don't be tired of going to programs. Okay? So this is very, very essential in getting what you don't know, the greatest truth. But what you know, and also capacity on it, is what actually eliminates truth. Very essential. So number two, like I said, is also mentorship.
Okay.
A lot of people have actually have idea of inflicting their risk. Remember, there was a time I gave somebody about share butter, which is called Ori. Now, in share butter, there are certifications. Okay? And there are some folks that have their own certification. For example, now, that's what we call the share butter in California. Now, when you want to do anything with share butter, they buy a lot in America, but you must do your test in that place. Any other test you do from that particular order outside that place will not be accepted. They have their reasons for it. Okay? That's like we have the Institute of Agriculture in Nigeria. People are doing that very massive.
Mr. Godwin, I don't think we're getting very clear signals.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so. So I'm going to connect with you again and see if it would be better. Oh my God. Yeah, thank you. What he was saying was so important, just that we couldn't hear him well. I know that you were trying to hear him, but hopefully before the show runs out, before I finish here, I'll connect with him so we'll hear what he has to say concerning the topic we're discussing. If you're just joining, welcome. Good to have you join us. This is Business Around Town, and we're talking exports. It's Wealth Creation Tuesday. And we are talking about the risk that is involved when we are talking about export, because every business has risk, and even export has more risk, because I even call it double risk, because this is a distance kind of business, no distance relationship. You know how it is if you're dating someone in US and you are in Nigeria. It can be very strenuous. You don't see the person, you can't feel the person's pulse. Sometimes you have to talk on the phone, and so that is almost the same thing with doing export business, because the customers is far away. Now, the type of risk. What are the types of export risk? Number one, there are many types of export risk. I'll take it one by one. We have the political risk. Exporters can face significant political risk when doing business in different countries. Some of these risks are established and well known, while others will rise up quickly and unexpectedly. So if you want to export to a particular country, you should know what is happening in that country. Is there a new election? Is there a sanction? Is there going to be what's happening politically? You have to follow. For example, what's happening in Sierra Leone, give it or leave it, is going to affect people doing business there. If you're an exporter to Sierra Leone, for example, they declared a curfew some days ago, it will affect business. So all of these things you need to know if you're an exporter. So there is political risk. For example, I think it was in Lagos State where we have all those Okadas, bikes that were doing. We had bike apps that if you want to go from here to there, you want to go to Yanopaja, for example, you just call a bike. Well, we had the go-karters and all of that. Yeah, and then there was a law that they banned bikes in major roads in Lagos, and that affected the business. So you see. So that's why you have to follow what's happening. There is political risk, and sometimes there is nothing you can do about it. But when you factor that in, it's not going to be shocking when anything happens. So if you're doing anything with another country, for example, you're selling some things in France, you should follow the news. So before it happens, it does not take you unawares. You get? So that's very important. That's one risk. And we also have a legal risk. Laws and regulation vary around the world. What is common practice in one country may not be so in another country. As a result, exporting companies could face legal sanction. They could face legal issues related to a number of areas of the business, including customers, customs, contacts, currency, and the liability and the intellectual property rights involved with the products they sell. So every country has its own rules and regulations. So what you do here in Nigeria that is okay might not be okay in Dubai, might not be okay in US, might not be okay in London. You have to. I think that people exported snail to one country. Was it UK? Big snail. You see these snails, very big and fresh, but I think they took them at the airport. They didn't even let them enter the country. I think they destroyed it because according to them there, they don't allow such. So you have to know, just because you're eating snail in Nigeria and there are people that are ready to eat snail where you want to export it to, doesn't mean that you can export it. You have to know what's applicable in the country that you want to export these things to. You might even have a customer that will tell you, I'm ready to buy a trailer load of snail from you. And if you don't follow the law, you will just, make contact and export your snail there. And at the end of the day, they will confiscate it. They will take it. They will destroy it. And you say, but I had a customer there. or you did not do your findings. Because if you did, you would know that that country, they don't allow snake in. So that's why it's important that you look at the legal risk, know what is involved. Is this country, do they allow this? Can I send my palm oil to this country? Do they allow for people to export such things? Do your findings. That's why you need a professional most of the time. We'll go for a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Keep it here. We are the Voice of the People, 90.3 FM.
Are you looking for the perfect getaway?
Look no further than the luxurious accommodations at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, Lagos, number 42, Muritala Muhammad International Airport Road, Lagos.
Relax and unwind in a beautifully appointed rooms featuring all the amenities you need for a comfortable stay.
Whether you're traveling for business or pleasure, our attentive staff is here to ensure that your everyday need is met. We also offer complimentary pick-up and drop-off from the Lagos airport.
Take advantage of our state-of-the-art fitness center, outdoor pool, and enjoy a delicious meal at our on-site restaurant.
With stunning views, world-class service, and a prime location, Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, Lagos is the perfect choice for your next vacation or business trip.
So, why wait? Book your stay today and experience ultimate comfort and luxury at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel.
For bookings and reservations,
is now
please call
here in
08
Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Romeo, the pizza champions, and Coldberry ice cream, delight in every scoop. Visit any of our outlets and feel the rich taste from the pizza champions and Coldberry ice cream at 11 Road by First Avenue, Festac Town, 28 Adenira Ogusanya Street, Surulere, 13 Admiralty Way, Lekki Phase 1, Romeo's Pizza and Coldberry ice cream. Romeo, the pizza champions.
We understand that having no financial stability can be very frustrating as it limits your possibilities in life. So it's important that you take hold of your finances today. There are 1,001 ways you can get started. All you need is a guide. VOP has acknowledged this need and has provided a solution. Mary Onaife Debbie invites experts across various fields, and they are dedicated to helping you create lasting revenue. Join Business Around Town every week, Mondays to Fridays at 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. Voice of the People, now you have a voice.
Have you been thirsty for well-nourished, yummy pizza and couldn't find one yet? What you ordered versus what you get, right? I understand. Let me introduce you to the best pizza and premium ice cream in town, all the way from the US. Romeo's Pizza and Coldberry ice cream. So sweet, so yummy. Visit the new Romeo's Pizza outlet, 22 Latif Salami Street, Ajao Estate, by the Lagos International Airport Road. For more inquiries, call 0816-320-9783 or 0816-321-0945. Romeo's Pizza and Coldberry ice cream. The light in every scoop.
Business Around Town.
As a business person, it's important for you to always have a plan 5 years ahead.
Nigerian economy is in a state of emergency, and everyone is screaming.
The internet does not know whether you're a business or...
Tune in every weekday, Monday to Friday, 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. to learn the latest strategies for building wealth and securing your financial future.
Yesterday's business cannot be today's business, unfortunately, so you have to definitely be ahead of the game.
Join Mary Onaife at Debbie as she takes you through in-depth interviews with successful entrepreneurs, financial advisors, and industry leaders.
This is the first time where the oil prices have gone high, but our revenues have nosedived. And the government is saying we don't know.
The internet is the biggest leveler out there for business.
A lot of them are scared that this technology is secure.
Gain valuable insights into the world of investing, as well as practical advice for managing your finances, growing your business, and Achieving financial freedom.
There's been a lot of trending issues that has to do with businesses.
Whether you're an experienced investor or just starting out, Business Around Town has something for everyone.
Small, medium businesses are the weight of most of these economies.
So, tune in and take your first step towards financial success.
We are the voice of the people, 90.3 FM, 2 minutes past 7. It's Business Around Town on the radio. My name is Mary Onaife Edebi, and today we are looking at ways that things could go wrong when exporting. That's what we're talking about. Things can go wrong when you are exporting. Some of the risks associated with exporting product out of the country. We're talking Wealth Creation Tuesday, and we are looking at exports. But today, we're looking at the risk involved in exporting a product. What can go wrong? I've told you the first one here is a political risk. Yes, something can happen. The political climate might change, and it will affect business in that country you are planning to export to. So you should be abreast of what is happening in the country politically, if you are interested in saving your money and doing business continually. Now, another one is the legal risk. I think I've explained that. Laws and regulations vary around the world. So what is a common practice in Nigeria is not common abroad in different countries. So you have to know what happens there. What is the legal framework? What is acceptable and what is not acceptable? They might need some paperwork for some things. In another country, they might not need that kind of paperwork. So you have to know all of that so that you can cross your T's, dot your I's, and do good business. Because the people that know how to do this are really making a killing out of it. And there is no serious competition in the field of exports. There is no serious competition. Now, another risk, another thing you should look at, another risk involved is the credit and financial risk. Now, this is very important. When doing business internationally, the risk of non-payment or a default by customer is one of the key issues exporters deal with. You know, export credit risk is among the most significant financial risk a company can face. You know, when you have a customer here in Nigeria and the person does not pay you, you know how to follow. You know how to call the police. You know how to get EFCC to follow up that person. But what happens when the person is in UK and the person refuses to pay? You can't take the Nigerian police there or EFCC there. But there are things that you can do that you can make the person accountable. So that is what we are talking about. So before you start doing the export and back and forth, you have to know what you can do. For example, if you're exporting to France or maybe to the US, if this person defaults, are there organizations that you can call? Are there people that could reach out? Are there things you can do? You have to know all of that. There are ways you can track those people. There are ways you could track them, and their government will make them accountable. And in fact, they'll be looking for you to pay the money. They will be running to pay you the money, because they know if they don't pay you that money, they will lose certain benefits. They will be blacklisted. But if you don't know all of those things and they know you don't know, they might decide not to pay you for a start. They start paying you. You do business 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. They're paying you. All of a sudden, they stop paying. They stop picking your calls, and you're trying to get them, and you can't communicate with them. But if you know what to do, they will call you back. In fact, you will fish them out. They will pay you the money quickly. So that's why it's very important that you know what to do. And also, there is a way you can even assess the credit worthiness of an international customer. It's difficult, but there is a way you can know that, okay, is this customer credit worthy? Okay, not all countries have detailed information about customers' past credit history or current credit worthiness. Some countries don't have that, but A lot of countries, they have it. Even in Nigeria, if you want to give someone a loan, for example, they will check your credit worthiness. They want to know if you pay your debts. So most countries, they do have it. And if you know who to ask and what to do, you can check all of that before you go into business with the customer. So that's why it's good for you to work with professionals in this field, because there is a financial risk and there are credit risk. Anytime you want to transfer money, make sure you do your due diligence, because you know how hard you worked to get that money. So don't take anybody's word for it. Don't say it's my uncle's friend, or we trust him, his family house is in Ilikbeju, or his daughter is no. Do your due diligence so you don't lose money. Okay, now that is number 3. Let's continue. We're looking at the risk associated with exporting. Now the next one is the quality risk. Yeah, this is very important. Quality. Once goods are shipped, a customer may register complaint about the quality of the product, and this could be a genuine objective or objective for the customer to not buy your product based on the buyer specification and requirement and expectation. So it could also be a way for the buyer to gain leverage and negotiate a discount on the shipped product. So for example, they ask you for something. So some people, they are guilty of it. What I ordered versus what I got. You know, there are cases like that, but there are also cases of people that will tell you this is what they want, and then when you send it, they'll tell you no, this is not what they told you. No. And then they want you to give them discount, or they say they will not pay the full price, or they will not going back and forth. It can be really stressful. That's why it's good for you to have everything on paper. Even if you're doing it in Nigeria, you know, you do shipping in Nigeria, you sell things and you weigh bill it to people, maybe you make clothes for people, you weigh bill it, all of that. Now, it's good you have all of these things on paper, so that when the customer is saying that, but I told you it's white, but you're sending me black. I told you it's gray. You know, some customers are very clever. Some of them are really wicked. So because of that, you have everything documented. Very important. That's the first step. So you said what? You want this? Okay. You want this? Okay. Everything written. And then you send it to the customer. Okay, this is your requirement. Are you sure these are your requirements? Customer says, yes, it's my requirement. So that can be a legal tender. When the customer says, okay, this is sent it to you. Say, okay, but this is what you said. You said you wanted this, you wanted that, and I sent it to you. So what is all this? So it's very important that you know there is quality risk. Another thing is, if you're the seller, ensure that is what you put out there, what you said you're going to deliver is what you deliver. Very important. You can't get away with some of these things abroad. You can't. In Nigeria, you can do that, but abroad, if you want, you can't play that. You can't play. You'll be caught and you will lose money for it. You lose credibility. So it's very important that you make sure that is what they order is what, in fact, even give them more. Okay, so one way to deal with quality risk is to hire an independent third party to inspect the goods before they are shipped. Now, people that are into exports, they know this too. So one way, an independent, someone that is different. So we look at what the requirement the customer brought. This independent person will look at it and say, okay, these are the product, this is it, okay. And the independent party, the third party will say, okay, I saw the product and this is what I saw. So when you do that, then you don't have any problem because there is a witness. But if that is not possible, the exporter can send, you as the exporter, you can send a sample to the person, the customer. So, okay, send a sample. Like, this is the sample. I know you said you want to buy 50,000 worth of bitter cola. So, but here is the sample first. Is this okay for you? This is the size I have. This is the color, and this is going to be the packaging. If the person says it's okay, then you can export it to the person. So you see, it's very important that you know all of this so you don't lose money. And there is more for you here. We're going to talk about more. Okay, let's move to the next one. I've given you how many risks now? I've told you about 4 of them. The next one is transportation and logistics risk. This is equally very important. Making an export sale is just the beginning of the process. The sold goods now need to be promptly and safely shipped to the customer. Yeah. Now, when someone orders something, that's really good, but the product has to get to the person that wants to buy the good, and this is where exporters can encounter a range of transportation and logistics risk, and it can vary. So that's why before you start doing your exporting, ensure that you get a good transportation or logistics company. In fact, something that people have used that you can ask, have you used it? Okay, how was it? And they will give you the experience. In fact, you can even go online, go and check the reviews. It's from the reviews you can tell if these people are good or not. Reviews are very important. I always tell people, don't overlook reviews. Someone is making a comment in the reviews, investigate it, because that might just be your lifesaver. So it's very important that you do that. And there are some goods that they require refrigeration. They need to keep them cold. Some that you don't need to expose them to excess heat, if not it will change it. There are also some goods that have expiration dates, so you have to know this product you're exporting, when does it expire and when will it get to the client, all of that. And there are some things that are fragile, some goods that are extremely fragile, so they require careful handling, and this you must let the transportation company know, and you must know if that transportation company can handle this your product, so they don't damage it and then the customer will say, okay, this is the goods is spoiled, or they brought a broken stuff for me. Some companies will even go as far as when they will deliver to the customer, they will take a picture of it and send to you that we delivered it like this to the customer, so we've done our part. So the customer cannot claim that the product that they got was broken. And all shipment must be tracked. If something goes wrong, the buyer may try to negotiate a price or reduction or reject the shipment altogether, so it has to be tracked. Like when we are leaving the seaport or the airport, wherever port you're taking the product to, you have to track it. Okay, it has left from here, it's now in this place, and it got to this place, and it finally got to the customer. So all of that can be done. I know saying it now can be cumbersome, can be tiring, but with a good transportation and logistics company, it will save you all of the stress. You might have to pay a little bit more. So this company might tell you that to ship this kg is 5,000. Well, another one will tell you it's 2,500. Don't just rush the 2,500. Don't rush it. Ask questions. The one of 5,000 naira will make you sleep well at night. The customer will get their product. Everything will be well done. Then you go and do the one of 2,500. You can't sleep. Customer calling you, logistic company calling you, everybody calling you. The customer will finally get the product, and the product will not be what it is because they spoiled it. Or they will tell you that they've delivered the product, and at the end of the day, the customer will tell you that I haven't seen the product. Then you start looking at you understand what I mean? So make sure that you do your research first before you use a transportation or logistics company to reduce the risk. And also, there's something else that you need to know when talking about risk is the language and cultural risk. Yes, it can also be a risk because you're dealing with exporting product out of the country. So there is something as language and cultural risk. Doing business with importers and customers in other countries requires a certain amount of trust, a different in language, culture, religion, and many other aspects of life requires careful handling. For example, when exporters and their customers speak different languages, important details and nuances can get lost in the translation. So different culture more can impact everything, can impact the normal business hours. Now the person is speaking French, you're speaking English, you have to pay attention to the details, because there's some of the things you say in English might mean different thing in French, so pay attention to the details. And there are some certain apps that can help you to translate some of the things that are being said, but because the person speaks a different language, you should pay attention. When the person says this and you reply in English and the person said okay, ensure you clarify that this is what I'm saying. Did you get it? Did you understand it? Say yes. Okay. Person will ask you, yes, I got it, I understand it. Yeah, you can. It works. People do business with people that don't speak the same language. I've done business with people that speak Spanish, that speak Portuguese, that speak Chinese. I've done business with Chinese. Yeah, I've done business with a lot of people. Different language. We don't speak the same language, but we use our phones to translate, and we get things done. So it's very possible that you can do that. Language on the barrier, but you just have to be aware that okay, if I'm speaking a different language, I have to pay attention to what the person is saying to make sure that we don't lose out in the details. It's very important that we do that. Okay, so I'll try to connect with Mr. Godwin again to ensure that maybe he could contribute to our conversation. But if I don't get in touch with him, hopefully next week Tuesday he'll be on board, and then we'll get to talk. So I'm trying to connect with him. Now, the next thing you can do to make sure that you are the risk is to get export insurance. Yeah, there are times where you need to get export insurance. As you go in this business, you might need it. Why some export risk can be managed and mitigated with the right staff, attention to cultural nuances, local resources, other export risk. It may be too big for you to lose. When do you need to get insurance? You get insurance when if anything happens, it's too big. The risk is too big for you. So if anything happens and you will lose big time. So at that point, it's good you get your things insured so that in case anything happens after you've done your due diligence, the insurance company can investigate it, and at the end of the day, they'll give you a refund. Yes, so there are insurance companies that you could use. For example, the political risk insurance can protect against loss caused by political event and turmoil. So there is an insurance that covers that for political risk. There is also a transportation and logistic coverage that can cover losses caused by problems and delay getting product to the customer in that country you're importing to. So you see, there are different types of insurance. So there's also export credit insurance that provide protection against customer payment default and against unpaid invoices caused by non-credit risks such as a political event. So you can also do that, have an export credit insurance. So in case this person you're dealing with does not pay, you get your money back. So there is insurance for it, political insurance, also political risk insurance, transportation and logistic coverage insurance too. So that can also work. And now rounding off this conversation, let's talk a little bit of how to mitigate credit risk in international trade. So most export risks are country specific. So every country you're dealing with is different. So if you say I've been exporting to China, yeah, I'm an exporter, I'm used to China, yeah, I export to China. You can't bring that same knowledge if you want to export to the UK or to the US or to France. You know that you have to know what's happening in those other countries. So that's why every country is very unique. Every country is different. So when you are exploring exporting to different countries, try to do your due diligence and start from beginning. Even if you're so good with China, you want to explore the US market, you have to start from the beginning. So in all of this is quite long and this is quite serious. This is not to discourage you, it's to get you prepared. So when you go into this business and you start small, when you start small, you might not face all of this kind of risk. You know, if what you are exporting and if your total worth is not so big, we're talking about millions of naira here. thousands of dollars. Now, if you're a small exporter, some of these risks don't really apply to you like that. But if you're going in big time, you're doing goods worth billions of naira, millions, big, huge amount of money. Yeah, this risk, they do apply. So, but you start small, and as you continue in the business, you're going to meet people, you're going to get advisors, you're going to get better at it. So all of these things will be a walk in the park for you. But I just want you to be aware that the terrain you're about to enter, or the terrain you are playing in, where you are right now, that there can be risk, and you should be prepared. And the truth is, in every business, there is risk. It's part of life. Even living every day is a risk. Going out to work every day is a risk. Opening your shop every day is a risk. Walking on the road every day is a risk. There are people that walk in and something just happens to them. There are even people in their house eating, and the car will just drive in, and that will be the end. I heard of a story of someone eating in the house, and the tree fell on the person. So risk is part of life. So you don't run away from risk. You just make sure that you assess it, you look at it properly, and then you venture into it. You have to count the cost before you go for anything. You have to look at what will it cost me? How do I do this and how do I do that? It's very important you ask that questions so you don't just jump into it. Okay, so that's it today on the program. We're going to go for a break right now. Thank you so much for being part of the program. I do appreciate you. We couldn't get Godwin Oyefeso to join us today. I tried getting him, but I could not. So hopefully next week, Tuesday, he will be here, and then we'll continue talking about export. Thank you so much for being part of the program. My name is Mary Onaife, and then coming up next now is Area Matter. Keep it here. We are the voice of the people, 90.3 FM. My name is Mary Onaife Edebi.
Are you looking for the perfect getaway?
Look no further than the luxurious accommodations at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, Lagos, number 42, Muritala Muhammad International Airport Road, Lagos.
Relax and unwind in a beautifully appointed room